Well, welcome back to another episode of Just a Bit of Banter. My name is Patrick, and in this episode, we have a very special guest, Mark Mulveny of the Noisy Neighbours podcast. The Noisy Neighbours podcast is one of America's biggest Man City podcasts. And in this episode, we're going to get into that Tottenham game and overall how City season has gone so far. At the end, we'll wrap it up with a little recap of Chelsea versus Brighton. So without further ado, let's get into it. Well, welcome back to another episode of Just a Bit of Banter, and we have a very special guest on the pod today, very special to me, and that is Mark Mulveny from the Noisy Neighbours podcast. Welcome, sir. I cannot think of a better person to have on to unpack whatever that was today against Spurs.
Patrick, that's very kind, mate. It's a real pleasure to be here, to see your faces, and let's have a bit of banter and try to unpack that game, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll dive right into it. I honestly think it's like our typical Spurs performance. I thought we were going to win just because of the injuries that Spurs were suffering, but I don't know, man. I'm at a place in the season right now that I feel I've been in the last 3-4 years where I can't say we played bad. I thought we did pretty well, but just whatever it is, it's just not, something isn't right in the team right now. And that's kind of where I wanted to start the show at, is get your opinion on where do you think the team's at? What do you think's going on with it? And what do you think happened today?
Okay. Yeah, no, I largely agree with that, mate. I think thinking big picture about it for just a minute, right? The struggles we were going to have this season were always going to be about replacing not only the goals and assists and what have you of Gundogan and Mahrez, but just the experience that they brought and the leadership, and then integrating new players in their in their stead. Secondly, was probably going to be fighting off what's the word? When you win a lot, you get complacent. That's it.
Yeah.
Complacent. Sorry, lost my head for a minute there. Complacency. Fighting off complacency would be number 2 probably. And then we were unfortunately faced with the injury to Kevin De Bruyne, which was a massive blow, as he's one of the best players in the world, really. And then John Stones, who I think we're finding out means a lot more to this team in terms of its balance between its attack and defense than anything else. So having said all that, with those being the obstacles that we've had to overcome, we're still very much in the mix at the top. But I'm with you in that something just doesn't feel right. I blame a lot of it on Rodri, to be honest, because of the really crazy red card he got, many weeks ago, and he was out of the team. And if one player you can't take out of the team, it's him for me. And that sort of started our stumbling, I think. And Pep has tried different ways to cover for Rodri's absence, and then subsequently Stone's absence after that, because he's not necessarily keen on putting a like-for-like player in there for John Stones. He's trying it with Akanji, not to great effect. Like, it was good against Liverpool, but other than that, it's been a bit dodgy. So, to wrap up my ramble here about the season so far, I would say we're doing okay. There's something missing. I trust Pep to fix it, but he probably needs to fix it quickly. Is my take on it.
Yeah, I would agree with you, because it's difficult to look at the table and think, especially I'm really comparing against where we were last year, because some of our title challengers are the same this year. I mean, factually, we're just in a better position than we were last year. We had a complete meltdown in the squad around this time. I think this was right around the Cancelo incident. But the biggest thing I see missing, chances missed aside, I think the biggest thing we see missing, you mentioned KDP, is just that killer ball forward. How many times have we seen this season where Haaland's making the run, somebody's making that run in behind? Spurs were playing such a high line today. just put it on the ground through and let him run onto it.
Yeah.
And if he misses a chance, he misses a chance. Fine, that's you can't do anything about that. But no one seems to want to play that. I don't know. I'm coming to this place where I feel like we're in a position of wanting to play too slow, and I feel like I get in this place every year during the season. It's sort of a byproduct of how Pep has decided to play and how his play has evolved. But at this point, when we are dropping crucial points, in my opinion,
Mm.
it's difficult to watch us kind of recycle it back and watch these defenses just get set up with 11 men in their box and getting ready. You know, you knew how they were going to score today. At least one of those
Yeah.
goals. The opening one, like, are we surprised that Son
Oh,
goal happened today?
not at all, mate. Like as soon as it happened, I was like, well, there's the inevitable one goal they were going to get. What do we do now? You know, and we had a good response to it.
For sure.
But we just can't seem to hold on to leads. We're conceding goals too easily. I agree with you on the sort of the through balls situation, and that's just a Kevin De Bruyne issue. I think um, it is a little bit worrying that Rodri has been one of our most creative players
Yeah,
this season from central defensive midfield. But credit to him. I mean, he's probably the best player in the world in my opinion at the moment. Apart from that ill discipline that I accused him of earlier. Um, yeah, today maybe had some symptoms that were different than other games. Today, I thought was largely about not taking chances and not winning duels at the in the defense. Whereas I think you might say more broadly about City season, it's been about the balance in the side between controlling the game and having enough creativity in the game. The whole control chaos spectrum that we talk
sure.
about as City fans, and without John Stones, that balance really falls apart for me. So we've got a few problems, um, and if I was to rank them, I would say right now, individually, I think players need to just be better. I don't think it's necessarily all a system issue. When you're missing Stones, I think individually we created loads of chances, and we're just like in the Leipzig game. We the two goals that Leipzig scored, they were just brain dead
Yeah,
defensive, issues. Nothing really systemic about it. I'm not saying there's nothing systemically wrong. He's still got to figure out what to do when John Stones isn't in the side, and um, but yeah, uh, today was I feel a little bit disappointed about today. Uh,
I feel my disappointment comes from is I feel like we haven't performed at all against any Big Six club this season.
well, yeah, that's very true,
I mean, Arsenal, I chalk off Arsenal. We didn't I hate to say it, we didn't have Rodri, and that was just a weird game. We probably could have won that game.
and a fluke goal from them too. Yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, that really should have been a draw. That, in my opinion, got lucky. Yeah, I think it was a deflection off Ake, wasn't it?
yeah.
That's how it went. Yeah, okay. So, but Arsenal, maybe I guess in Newcastle, we got 3 points there. Now Spurs, we haven't done anything.
And
We have,
Newcastle's looking like a big win, isn't it?
I mean, it really is. It
Yeah,
definitely is. I mean, even with their injuries, they're still up there,
this, they've
thereabouts.
got they've got some
We
kind
all
of
know they
vibes
got
going
robbed
on,
in the
man.
Champions League that last game. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's a big win. I don't know. That's really my frustration lies. Is it's I really we just have this thing in the last couple of seasons where we can turn out those results against the big six clubs, and now we're just not.
Well, what it
Right?
means for us, mate, in order to get those back, is if you remember last season, we lost twice to Brentford.
Yeah,
So
that's a good
this
point.
season, after we drop points to big teams this season, we're gonna have to get 6 points off Brentford
Hmm.
this season to make up for it.
I agree, which is why, again, I guess that Chelsea performance, this performance has reminiscence of that. I know things are a bit different, but it's just letting them back in the game, in my opinion, in silly ways.
Yeah, and we're not. During the treble season, we were used to teams getting 1 goal max.
Yeah.
Now you know 3, 4. Um, Spurs 4 for Chelsea, right?
Hmm.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, quick 2 for Leipzig. It's not. That's not us. That's not our game, is it?
No. But I want to bring the other guys in here, George and Greg, and get your. I know this is very city heavy up at the front
Yeah,
here,
no,
but
it's all
if you
good,
saw the
man.
game today, I know George, me and you were going back and forth during the
Yeah,
game, but what were your thoughts during the game?
yeah. I mean, I'm for you guys. If you get, as long as you guys are not playing Chelsea, right? That's then I'm going all in. But it's like what you guys said, right? Like it's now I'm going to reverse the question real quick. Is in the Premier League, you guys have scored 8 goals against opponents right now. So do you think it's maybe like defense, or how do you think that maybe Ederson's playing right now? In the back lines, like you said, Chelsea had 4, and I think Liverpool was 1, and then today was 3. What do you think? What do you think how that's going on? I mean, and I know we're gonna have another separate conversation when we talk about this last at the very end of the game, right? This controversial call
Oh yeah.
that's gonna be a completely different topic, which I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on that. But yeah, if I can go back to the 8 goals in the Premier League, and like Mobile, what you said is, last season, the treble season, that you guys were scoring 1 to 2 max on these. So yeah, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'll take that quickly, mate. It's a bit of both for me. It's a bit of a systemic issue. Um, for example, the Chelsea match where we conceded 4, I thought the system left Rodri and Ruben Diaz exposed quite a bit. I thought Bernardo was left too far up the pitch. He didn't drop into the midfield to help Rodri out. So Rodri was exposed, and with only Rodri by himself in front of like Diaz, who's plays centrally, Diaz looked exposed as well. So in some instances, it's been the system, I think, where the player he's putting the players out there on the pitch. In others, it's just brain dead defending, where you're just letting somebody ghost past you. You don't win your duels, and we tend we tend to leave other teams with a low. They call it XG, right? Expected
Yeah,
goals. Like
Hmm.
today, I don't know
yeah,
if you saw today's XG. It was mad. Like
Another
City's
typical
was
Spurs stat.
3 and Spurs was, I think, 0.5. Right, so we were expected to score 3 based on the chances we created. Spurs were expected to only score a half of a goal based on the chances we let them have. Right, yet they've got scored 3 goals off of it. So I think maybe some credit to, well, actually tons of credit to Spurs, because the finishing today from them
It's
was
great.
really good. I don't think Edison has a chance on particularly that third goal, the header from Kulishevsky, where he just bullies Ake and heads it into the top corner. What are you going to do as a goalkeeper?
yeah, yeah.
It maybe should have done better for the first one, because he does get down to it, but yeah, it's a bit of everything for me. What do you think, Patrick?
In terms of defensive, I think it's just I go back to your point about John Stones. I think he's more critical than we have ever thought he was.
Yeah.
We were on with Crump from Shades of Blue
Mhm.
a couple episodes ago, and we had talked about Ruben Diaz and just the back line in general. And the point I made is that it's no surprise to me that the 2 seasons we went to the Champions League final and the 1 season we won it, who do we have in the back line? We had John Stones and Ruben Diaz. And it's funny because I remember when we signed Ruben Diaz, like we thought, oh, this is exactly what John Stones needs. But as time has gone on, I honestly think they need each other
Yeah.
and they complement each other. And whatever it is that John Stones has in him, I mean, he does things that are just ridiculous, and you need that to stabilize that back line. I also think that Vardiol has been a great signing, but I guess this plays off your point about new players. Vardiol's been a great signing, but I don't really like him at left back, and I think defensively he's got a lot more work he needs to do. Maybe that's he's playing at left back, or he needs to be moved to the center. I don't know, but offensively, it reminds me a lot of Trent. I think offensively, he's fantastic going forward, and he provides an element of the game that we need for our wingers to play with. But defensively, I think he still has a long way to go. It's fine. He's young. I am not slandering him, and he's got plenty of time to do that. But I think that's been also another big issue that we've seen. It's just defensive. We don't have. I don't know. Our defenders are not defending right now. They want to attack. We got Walker on the side attacking and Vardiol attacking.
Walker's an interesting one because he started the season on fire. He was amazing. He was contributing to the attack really well. His passing was great. But of late, he's not been really delivering anything in the attack, which makes him a bit of a liability, not defensively,
No.
but just in the overall build-up in the play. And if you remember, all our success at the end of last season, really, in the big games, came without Kyle Walker in the team.
That's
So
right.
I think questions are going to start being asked
Yeah.
about the worth of Kyle if he's not, you know, if he's not on it really, like in the build-up. Would another option there, maybe Rico Lewis, um, be better for us in terms of the system? So um, mm, just
It's in,
get dust Walker off when there's a Vinicius Junior on the other team or something like that.
yeah, when you need that pace for him to cover, and
Yeah,
then just say you're staying back, you're not joining the attack. We'll have Phil and Bernardo on that side.
because it was when Pep decided to play 4 centre backs across the back line that we just became unpenetrable.
I know, it was great,
Like,
and it's
yeah,
funny you mentioned Rico Lewis because one of the things that I was going to say is I don't like Akanji. I think he probably could do it, but right now seeing him try it out sucks. I want to get Rico Lewis more in the team because I know he can do it. Yeah,
yeah.
he's not that he's a bit small. And that we just got to accept that. He does get bullied off the ball a little too easily, but he had an instant impact when he came on today. He's constantly surprising, and I do agree there needs to be development and management of his growth in this team. Throw him in there. Throw him in there, especially against Villa. Let's throw him in there and see what happens.
I thought he should have played against Liverpool, mate, after he
Yeah.
was amazing for England. And Alvarez was coming back from South America, got back late and had a shocker against Liverpool.
Hmm.
And Rico Lewis was sitting right there. And that was a little bit disappointing. But I think I agree with you. I think Rico Lewis is the second best option if you can't play Stones in that role.
Yeah.
Akanji, I think we ought to offer Akanji the opportunity to learn it because he does have the frame for it and probably has the ability to do it. But we're dropping too many points to keep experimenting for me.
Yeah.
And I think we already know Rico's really good at it. So I think Rico's been a bit underused.
I agree. I think we could see him more and want to see more game time from him this season starting, not just coming off the bench.
Yeah,
So
agree.
Yeah, it's gonna be like you guys said, like having Vardiol in the center back is what you had mentioned, Mo or Patrick. I can't remember who it was. So you would move because Diaz was in the center, right? And then
yeah,
so you would like to see how would you do it? You'd be like Vardiol and then Walker, keep
I
him
could
where he's at, and then move Diaz to the the right side?
no. In my perfect world, are we assuming the team as it is now, or with the current in sorry.
Do
Are we
both, mate.
assuming yeah.
Yeah, do like both. Yeah.
Do no
Yeah.
injuries and then do like Stones is injured.
So no injuries. It's for me, Vardiol, Stones, Diaz. We saw it once and it's incredible. Across the back. Or sorry, I guess Vardiol, Stones, Diaz, Akanji. Stone steps up next to Rodri. And it's 3 of the back, Kanji, Diaz, Vardiol. I mean, that's dream scenario for me. We saw it once and it was incredible. I forget against who it was against, but in the current form, I'd put Ake on the left, Ake on the left, and then move Vardiol and Diaz together in the middle, Akanji on the right, and I, I mean, I don't know what conversation Vardiola and Walker had, but like I think he needs to be benched for a little bit.
I'd do perfect world. I would do from left to right. Ake, Diaz, Stones, Akanji. No, it'd be 4 centre backs. Basically, it'd be 4 centre backs. Akanji, Diaz, Stones, Ake, Diaz, Stones, Akanji. Sorry, guys.
Yeah,
Ake,
there you go.
Diaz,
That's all
Stones,
right.
Akanji, right? And then Stones would move up into the midfield when we had the ball. And then without Stones, I think I want to see Ake, Diaz, Akanji, Lewis. And Lewis moves
Okay.
into the middle from the right back position.
And Akanji pushes out wide.
Next to Rodri. Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I would do.
All right. I can be down with that. That'll get him more game time, and I think solves our problem.
Mhm.
I
And
think
Lewis is the guy that
he's
invented that. So go ahead, George.
Yeah, he's
yeah, no, I was saying that I like Rico Lewis, and he's young and develop him. He's the sleeper, in my opinion, of a very underrated. So yeah, I think that'd be a good lineup. See him more getting playing time. We just saw him again in Champions League on that. So
From an
yeah, I
outside
would see more playing
perspective,
time.
what would you do, George? From an outside perspective.
Ever since when Vorio had mentioned how he's still learning Pep's ways of playing, he quoted a couple weeks ago saying that he's still learning. So, but however, he's still a really talented player, and I honestly would like Mo, what you're saying. It's kind of you're still experimenting. Excuse me, you're still experimenting this the lines and all that. So it might be too late to do that, but I would try and keep him there. I like to see Lewis and Ruben Diaz, and then Walker. That's how I would see it on that.
That's fair. I mean, to be honest,
You have to build that motivate. You gotta give him that momentum and not give him the X right away. But I don't know. It just by the way they're playing the past couple times, it's a little tough. But like I said, I want to see Lewis play a little bit more. He just gives that excitement, and plus he's only a teenager still, so it's nice to see him and man, really develop him, but kind of not just don't overuse him because these wear and tear in these players can be costly, right? But yeah, that's how I would do on that.
These are all great options, by the way, aren't they? Some of these names that we're saying.
Isn't it great that we're in a position we can mix and match like this?
Yeah, it's a bit of a luxury. We just got to find the right balance for sure.
We don't have to choose from Nicholas Jackson. So
you better stop it. What's up, Greg? You have any thoughts on this, man?
I'm just enjoying the conversation.
Just vibing.
It seems like the story of the day is that Manchester City needs to get their defense going, and the defense is, I mean, seemingly from what you guys are talking about, what I've read online and what I've watched, the highlights that I watched, it seems like their defense needs to get it together. Now, would you think that this would be something that you would handle internally, like amongst the team? Do you think it's different people that need to be switched out, or do you think it's the coach's responsibility through at the end of the day?
It's all that, isn't it? I thought you were going to ask if we were going to need to dip into the transfer market.
I mean, that could be. I mean, if you need different talent, do you think you?
Yeah, as far as that goes, we still haven't fixed the issue of if Rodri's out for any length of time, we don't look like we know what to do.
Paqueta.
Yeah, the issue with the issue is and we've had this in other areas of the pitch too, is when you have a player that's so good, it's hard to find somebody who wants to be their backup. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That was, I think, the issue with
why?
Because everybody wants to play,
So they just think they won't get the playing time because the person is so good. Okay.
So we were able to convince Calvin Phillips to do it, right? To join the team and be the Rodri backup. And then within a few weeks of him getting there, Pep decided he wasn't good enough, and we'd made a mistake. And now we're left without really any single body to be the guy when Rodri's not there. So we've got to go out into the market at some point and find this unicorn of a person who's good enough to back up Rodri, but not so good that he wants to play every week.
Yeah.
So
isn't that the real challenge there?
It's a hard profile to find. Yeah.
A medium ambitious person They're like somewhat ambitious, but not super ambitious.
Greg, we'll sign you.
Yeah, I can do it.
He's
Sounds like
medium
my alley.
ambitious.
Medium ambitious. Like
Well, that
if it
was-
works out, fantastic.
That was the thing. Calvin Phillips fit all of those, ticked all those boxes until we found out he couldn't control the football in the middle of the park, and he wasn't going to be any use to us.
That was such a shocker too, because he was so good for Leeds, like
Yeah,
night and day for
Yeah, yeah.
Leeds. So good.
yeah.
Like,
We dropped a bollock there big time. Like the
Oh, yeah.
scouting,
It-
I guess, let us down for once. We usually hit. Like we
Mhm.
are
or thereabouts, and they just develop into the role. But
done really well at scouting and picking good players for this team, but that's one where we haven't found the right person. But more to your question, Greg, whether it's the manager or the players, I'm leaning more towards the players at the moment. In that, I think the players need just to be better, because there have been some brain dead moments that they're the only ones who can fix that. The manager can't fix that, really.
Right.
Structurally is the manager's job, and while there are some games where there's some gaps that expose us, I think that's less the issue than just like winning your duels, staying focused, not being
basics.
complacent. Yeah, so that's where I lean towards.
Makes sense.
yeah,
Makes
I
sense.
mean,
What are your thoughts?
mine. I was sort of tongue in cheek talking about Paqueta. I really I don't. I mean, gambling scandal aside, I don't care. Go back into the market and get him, because he's going to be difficult to get in January because he's just tearing it up at West Ham. But my God, he would be so good in this team. And I think he's less on the Rodri side. He's more the KDB side, someone who could slot into his position and be a very positive, going forward, thread the pass type of player that we need. But yeah, I mean, we have a critical. Everything runs through Rodri. Everything runs through that role. The number 6 role for him.
Yep.
Everything runs through him. So finding someone to do that who's also going to be a backup, I don't know. I'm wondering if is there someone in the team that could do it? My mind immediately goes to Stones, but he's injured and we need him to stand beside Rodri. So I don't know. It's finding someone in the team currently, I would say, looking internally on who could step up, because he's going to be out for Villa anyways. So, and I'm going to be honest, Pep's not playing Calvin Phillips against Villa. I don't think that's going to happen.
Nope.
So I don't think it's Kovacic. I guess Kovacic is the most logical answer. Kovacic,
Why wouldn't you use Grealish in there?
Not in the 6 role. No, I do agree. Moving Grealish central would be a good idea, because he needs options in front of him to thread passes. But I think, we just got to find somebody in the squad, at least for this season, because I don't. I'm not the best at transfer markets.
How is it gonna be when, like you mentioned, that KDB's gonna be coming in come January?
Question.
So how is that gonna? So would you take out a Kanji and it would be, or be a replace? Obviously, KDB wants to get some playing time, right?
It would take out Alvarez. Alvarez gets benched. Alvarez is playing the KDB role right now. So
he would. Okay. You think that's gonna happen with Alvarez?
That's
Alvarez getting
exactly
benched?
what's probably going to happen. Is Alvarez is going to be benched. The KDB, they're probably going to bring KDB on in the 60th minute or whatever, and ease him back in. But I mean, sidebar, I think this rest has been great for KDB. I think it's exactly what he needs. But yeah, Alvarez gets benched, and the way KDB is the best in the world. He's the best. I mean, Rodri is the best right now, but KDB is the best midfielder I've ever seen in the Premier League. He just simply is. I mean, I'm biased. He's my favorite player, but like he does things that no one else can do. And so when you take a player like that out, not only do you lose all his experience of, how long has he been here? 7-8 years?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You lose all that
8.
experience of being in these situations, but also you lose his ability to create chances like no one else can. We saw today we're creating chances. We don't have a problem creating chances. If anything, we have a problem finishing chances right now, which is really weird to say with Haaland in the team. It's so weird. I know on a couple we got unlucky. What are you going to do? It hits the post with Doku's shot. It hits the posts with Alvarez shot. That's just Spurs luck. I mean, I can't explain that one, but Holland missing a couple sitters today, but so we're not creating chances without KDB, but KDB just has a way of creating that he can take 3 defenders out of a game with one pass. And Holland or Alvarez, or what I'm really excited to see, KDB to Doku, that gives them all the time in the world to actually decide how they want to finish that ball, and that's how you score goals in this team.
I have a question, Patrick.
Yep.
Like, if we do like Pep's standard 4-3-3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And Rodri's the 6 of the 3 midfielders. Give me, once KDB's back, assuming everybody else is fit, give me the rest of the forwards. Like, so Rodri at the base. I'm assuming KDB is one of the 8s. Who's the other 8 and who's the front 3?
I go Silva.
So Silva's the other 8?
No, actually, sorry. Let's change that. Silva on the wing, Holland, Doku, Foden in the middle.
Foden's the other 8. So your
Foden's the
8.
other 8.
Sorry, yeah, your 2 8/10s are KDB and Foden.
Yes.
That's mad.
That's me.
That is mad.
Look at Foden today, man. Like Foden was the best player. How he didn't get man of the match.
No, I'm not.
He's the best player, but
he's good.
You just want him gliding through the field like that.
That is utter chaos, though. Right behind Holland,
and I'm all for it. And then I'll come on with you in another episode and just say, why are we not controlling games?
Yeah.
Well, dummy, you said Foden and KDB in the middle, so have fun.
You could get a bit more control if you switched Foden and Bernardo. Right?
You could
put Bernardo into the 8 and put Foden out wide. I know a lot of people don't like Foden out wide. I get it, but that's actually a pretty cool option for Pep, because even mid game you could just switch those 2
if you need it.
If it wasn't going great.
That's the thing, is just you can see, like, ever since we bought Doku and we have that balance on the left now, you can see the potential there. That's like, oh, you can do all these cool things. Another reason why this is frustrating is we have the ability to change things and make it cool and kind of fit every puzzle piece depending on what the game is doing. We're just not turning out results with that right now. I think, and I keep going back to, because I have to wait till February. Let's have the conversation in February and see where we're really at, because I've seen it time and time again. We just start turning over. And I hate to rely on that all the time, but it is a factor.
Yeah, it's 2 months till February, mate. We got to make sure we're still in it.
Still winning, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, what are we, 3 points off the top?
I know, but we're putting so much pressure on ourselves, mate. Because when we talk about those runs that City go on, it assumes I guess outside of the season that Liverpool were just neck and neck with us the entire time, right? It assumes that nobody else is going to get hot as well. Do you know what I mean? Like, it assumes, like Arsenal last year just faded at the end, right? And it even required, what was it, 14 wins in a row to tip Liverpool that season. I know they're not quite the same team, but we're putting so much pressure on ourselves without KDB for another couple months, probably, at least to full fitness. Well, I think we've got to do really well the next 2 months to stay in it, and I think we've got a lot of hope about the end of the season that we can do that crazy thing that we have been able to do without Gundogan, who was massively important to it last season. Other players are going to have to step up.
That's a good point.
It's probably going to be a Foden who will do that. But it is his time, really, to be that guy. But boy, we got our work cut out for us, I think.
I would agree with you. The only thing I counter with is I think this whole season is weird. It's just been, it's another thing I can't explain, but it's just in the back of my mind. It's just everybody's having weird results. one of your shows that I listened to, you called it "Barclays is back" or some
Oh, yeah.
term such as like that. I mean, but literally, like everybody's having like it doesn't really look like anyone's a clear leader right now. Every people are dropping points in weird places. There's these weird games that are basketball games back and forth.
Yeah.
So that's why I guess I'm holding out hope right now. I don't even know if we're going to go on a run. I do agree we need to have a strong 2 months going into the Club World Cup, but everybody's having this season's just weird. This season is so weird in the first half of it, and I can't really quantify it, but it just feels different.
Mm-hmm.
Feels different.
Maybe because
Is it
Greg's
the
supporting Brighton
vibes?
now.
Is it the vibes or is it the whole? Why is it every time I get these stupid emails right as I'm going to say something? It's ridiculous. It's the vibes, isn't it? We're just not feeling it this year. Is that what it is?
No, I think the vibes in terms of like the competition are really good.
Yeah.
Like, because it's tight and there's 3 or 4 teams that look really good. Newcastle look amazing, and they've got loads of injuries. They've got vibes. They've got really good vibes right now. That St. James's Park is rocking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Patrick, you remember when they knocked us out of the Carabao Cup?
Yeah.
Just the crowd was celebrating like tackles and stuff.
Yeah, it was awesome,
Like,
and
as
I'm so
goals,
happy for him. Like
tackles were
honestly,
goals against
yeah,
50.
that's got to be
And-
great for the players.
Yeah, no,
That's the attitude Pep wants when he says, "I need a loud stadium."
Yeah, he needs to watch himself, mate. He's gonna get shanked by a City fan, I think.
Yeah, probably.
No, I think to Greg's point though, I think it's we're uncomfortable as City fans because we don't have the control that we're used to. We're missing chances, we're giving up silly goals, and we're a bit nervous, I think. But as far as everybody else goes, I can see them loving it,
Yeah,
Especially
for
like neutrals are looking at the league going, wow, the Barclays is back. This is cool.
Well, it's nice to see your team winning, no matter who you are. I mean, it seems like last year, at least from everything that I've seen and heard about it, it's City was an unstoppable force. They were just nobody was touching them. It was what it was. And it seems like this year people are noticing that there are imperfections and they're exploiting them, and they're able to get these games where, like today, you drew against a pretty darn good team, so it just seems to be my take on it.
100%, mate.
Yeah,
Definitely. Well, we've dominated 37 minutes of City content. So
37
in order to get the other boys, and they play
Well, hold
each
on.
other.
Before we get to the real game this week. Sorry, I just had to say that, man. I apologize. Now, I what do you guys think about that call at the end?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh,
We had to pause real quick because my goodness.
About us.
Well, go ahead.
About the City boys dominating, 37, 38 minutes out of the show. I mean, that's Man City, isn't it? That's Pep Guardiola.
Pretty much.
We're going to control most of the game.
There you go.
And what's going to happen now is you guys are going to score like 2 goals, against the run of play against us and even things out. But that's just how we roll.
We'll take it in for the win at the end, though.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Okay, right up front, that decision, that diabolical decision, had nothing to do with the outcome of the game, by the way, because so much had to happen after that. Grealish has got to score
Sure, yeah.
After that, and we're not going to be blaming refereeing decisions for dropping points. Last season, that was kind of our thing. We were so good, it didn't matter what the referees were doing because we had enough goals to cover it. You know what I mean? At least it does dispel, all the conspiracy theories about City paying the referees and all that stuff. We're just like anybody else. We get bad calls as well.
The difference is we don't bitch about it.
Yeah, Pep's been good about that. I mean, obviously the players today were irate on the pitch,
Has
about
Pep
it.
been good about it? Didn't he get a game suspension recently?
Well, yeah, they're being really strict about the sideline antics this season, aren't they?
Mm.
I was speaking more about like when he speaks to the press.
Okay. I
He's-
gotcha.
He tends Pep does this really cool thing, which I think somebody like a Jurgen Klopp could really learn from, which is he only complains after we win. Because then he can't be seen to be being, a sore loser about things. So he'll after we win, he'll if he wants to take a shot at somebody, he'll do it then. Which I think is a great approach. But no, the call today was, I mean, what's he doing? He's given a play on, and then pulled it back when Grealish is through on goal. It's just, I don't know. It's a pretty poor decision. And it's funny, right? Because last season, the worst call that went against us was Marcus Rashford was allowed to play
That
on.
exact same thing.
Yeah, when he
Yep.
he was offside, obviously. So we've got it's the consistency of things that I think bothers everybody, no matter who you support. Everybody's really had a bad call against them this season, and yeah, today was a bad one, really, but not the reason we lost at all.
No, I have to
No,
echo
sorry,
that.
Drew. We didn't lose, did we?
It feels like we did, doesn't it? Those last minute goals. No, I have to echo that. The reason I didn't really start with that is for that exact reason. Like we had every opportunity to really kill that game in the first half, and that call was the culmination of a lot of frustrating things going against us, going against the run of play, going against the game we should be cruising to victory on, and that just sums it all up. But yeah, it's a well, to use Mulv's words, it's a diabolical call. I mean, it isn't Hooper the same guy that got relegated down to the championship because of his call against Wolves and Liverpool?
To be honest, mate, I can't even keep up with them all now because they've
Yeah,
all done something
terrible.
terrible at some point, and
Uh,
they've all been
I-
relegated at some point.
It's I don't know, man. We had a whole episode last time about VAR that we just spent way too long talking about it.
I know.
And I hate it. I hate it because that's not what I want to have a conversation about. But
Totally.
yeah, terrible call. Shouldn't have happened. Players were right to be
Terrible
upset
call.
about it. But what are you going to do?
Refs.
Yeah.
We should have been
Kill the
better.
refs.
Yep.
You just got to move forward, right? Move
Yep.
forward, get some
Forward.
wins, and readjust, get the momentum going, get everyone's positive notes, and capitalize on it.
Or actually start paying the referees.
That's
Yeah.
an option. Yeah. Have we
Maybe.
investigated that? What's a 116th charge, you know?
Hey, Barcelona were doing it, right?
Yeah. I
Hey.
mean, I think I saw like some Real Madrid fans, they've done that the same thing. So works in La Liga.
Allegedly.
Allegedly,
For
yes.
any lawyers watching.
Allegedly. This is all jokes.
Yeah, that was a. I don't know. I really enjoyed watching that game. Of course, not the outcome because I want you guys, win and for everything else. But man, that was should have won that game. There is always some opportunities that was missed, but not to mention Son's self-deflection goal. But yeah, it happens.
Yeah, at least he
so
scored for us this time.
I can't tell you how badly I wanted to win that game so that I can.
So it'll balance off, right?
I wanted to win the game so badly because I wanted to do a video edit of. Do you remember the slide after the first goal?
Yeah.
I wanted to do a video edit of the own goal and then the slide.
Is sliding into
Yeah, I thought that would have been really funny.
I think you should still do it, man. That'll be fun.
Just do it anyways.
Do it anyway.
Take the piss out of it.
Yeah, just do it. Yeah, that was funny, man. But who do you guys have next coming up?
Villa.
Is it Luton
Villa
Town?
midweek.
Villa.
Yeah. I
That's
don't
why
know.
we had to win today.
That'll be a tough
Because
because they're playing.
that's going to be
really
tough.
Well. Are you guys away?
Villa Park?
Okay.
Yeah, we're
away.
at Villa Park.
And they are hot.
Mm-hmm.
I was
They
getting
are
scared.
very hot.
I was getting scared playing them, but oh well, it is what it is. But yeah, that was unfortunate for City. So
What about your guys' game? You did it back and
Oh,
forth,
dude.
didn't you?
Dude, we
Dude,
won, man. We spanked them.
trash. You are trash. Dude, here's the thing
Dude,
about
hold
this
on.
game.
The whole second half,
No,
you're playing with that player
Let him
down.
cook. Hold up. Let him cook.
Your team had one goal today, and that goal was to do whatever it took. And it was questionable. It certainly didn't get called all the time. But dude, your team just freaking tripped everybody, tackled everybody. Like anytime we got on a roll, they just, well, we can't outrun them, so we're gonna tackle them. Now, I will admit, initially, I don't know why De Zerbi didn't have what I would consider the top echelon of players playing. It seemed like he subbed them in the second half of the game, which I don't really understand that logic.
part
When
I
you're
will
down
agree with you.
3-1,
Mhm.
I don't get that. But I'm also not De Zerbi, and I don't really know shit about football. So, but your team was just a bunch of bullies. Like, yeah, you can win if you freaking push everybody over and nobody can have a fair shake at it. But
Are you
that's what I
suggesting the
saw.
referee was poor and didn't take care of that?
I think that there were some calls that should have been made. I think that the fact that you guys got
They were, baby.
a
What you talking
free
about,
kick
dude?
was bullshit.
Gallagher was out.
Whatever.
Gallagher was out. Like you said, tackling everywhere. And yes, we were playing a man down.
Yeah.
And then at the end,
you deserve that red card. You
That's
deserved
fair.
it.
It's still where we still got 3 points though.
Yeah.
However,
you did.
However, I will piggyback on why De Zerbi didn't play your stars in the beginning. Maybe because it was like they're saying it's just Chelsea. That's what Patrick says. If they're a
No one
team.
takes Chelsea seriously.
And then we're down 3-1.
£1 billion, and you got nothing to show for it.
No. I'm tired of fucking hearing that.
Where's FFP?
Oh no.
Just kidding.
Unbelievable. But yeah, man. And then I don't understand how the possible handball that Levi the Caldwell took it straight to the noggin, saying it was a possible.
It was fair. It was fair.
But
now
dude,
you have. When they saw it on replay, it was very clear that it was not anywhere near his hand. I mean, it was close. And so on the field and in the moment, and especially when you're on your 112th minute or whatever the hell it was, you're like, I want it to be a handball, so we're going to freaking check it. You know, it wasn't. And it is what it is, man. You know, it would have been nice. Oh, man, I was watching that game till the end of it. And I was here screaming in my living room like, God damn it, George.
I know.
My bullies. You're bullies.
There was a ton of fouls, and yes, they are bullies, and
they really are bullies.
But sometimes that's what it's like. What Mo said when who was Ake who got bullied in the end on the corner kick. You have to be a bully. You have to.
Yeah, I guess when you're where were you in the table? Pretty low. I mean, you were 14th or something. So I guess when you're down that far in the table, you gotta get clever with it. So I get it.
Yeah.
Ain't no shame. I mean, you won fair and square. I'm not saying that the victory wasn't valid, but what I'm saying is how you got there. It's a little questionable in my opinion. You know, what do you? I would be curious to know what you guys think, though, because knowing football more, what it looked like to me is this is my first season really hardcore watching football like this. It looked to me like Chelsea was just a bunch of fucking bullies pushing everybody down because they couldn't beat them on merit, so they were resorting to cheap shots.
That is part of the game, though, isn't it? I think Newcastle are doing a little bit of that this season, and it's working out in their favor. I mean, you really do need the referee. I mean, I didn't watch the game. I just briefly watched the highlights on my phone while you guys were chatting there. But yeah, that's why I asked, did you have an issue with the referee? But oh man, yeah, Chelsea are really interesting, aren't they? Because it's a brand new manager, brand new team, basically. So even though they have spent loads of money, I don't think you can ask for an immediate impact when both things are true. New manager and mostly a new team. If one of the two things are true, maybe, or if one of them is false, sorry, you could maybe have high expectations for it. But as we know as City fans, it takes a lot more than a lot of money
Mhm.
to get results. Manchester United is a great example.
Straight up.
Currently the most expensive squad in Europe,
Yeah.
and they are absolute dog shit. We can all agree on that,
Yes.
can't we?
Oh yeah.
We're all in
Okay, cool,
agreement.
cool.
United sucks.
All right, cool.
And
Yep. Yep.
But I do think that Chelsea are putting some pieces together. I think Poch is a good manager. I think he's like a good top 4 manager. You know what I mean? And there's some good players there at Chelsea that, if the pieces come together, they should be shooting for a Champions League spot every season. Brighton, I love De Zerbi, love the way he plays,
I
but
freaking love him
he's
so
going to
much.
struggle just to keep the quality of players that he needs to run that sort of system. He's going to struggle to keep them there. That's because they're just going to, like, Chelsea are mainly the ones that took all their talent, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're gonna.
So they're
going
going to want to go to one of those higher echelon teams then.
Yeah, and even maybe the manager might get poached as well. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean? That's the thing that bothers me a bit about FFP is, the big clubs want you to, earn your way into the top, but they're gonna. So out of one side, they're gonna say earn your way to the top. Out of the other side of their mouth, they're gonna be buying all your players and take your
Mhm.
manager. So
Yeah.
how are you supposed? How are you supposed to sustain anything? Like, do you remember what happened to Leicester when they won the league? What immediately happened to their best players?
Everybody got bought.
They all got
Mhm.
sold, right? Because they were too good to be at Leicester, and Leicester did well to hold on there for a couple of seasons after. They were still pretty good, but eventually it wasn't sustainable, and
Right.
they've now dropped out. Right, they're in the Championship now, right? So yeah, I feel for Brighton a bit. You would hope that the financial regulations would allow them to speculate to accumulate, right? Which is what
Mhm.
City did. They spent a bunch of money, it paid off, and they were winning things. You should be allowed to do that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I
Um,
agree.
yeah, of course you do. You're a City fan.
Well, yeah, of course I do because I'm a City fan. But
and a
even
capitalist.
that's right. I mean, but all that aside, in terms of football and context, like you can't be a gatekeeper. You want
A what?
a gatekeeper.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
You should have
Like,
enunciated the T a little more, my friend.
you want. Fair enough. You want. If you want the competition in this league to continue, you want a Newcastle. You want a Brighton to be switch their mentality to not being a selling club, which they have been historically, and go on and do great things. Like that's what makes it great. Like you were saying for the neutral, it's going to cause us to sweat because we're used to winning that trophy and whatnot right now. But yeah, I guess that's a really short version to not. I'm not very well versed in FFP, and I never want to be because I don't.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to be, mate.
I don't. By proxy of being a City fan, I've had to know a few things, but
Yeah.
I don't like the gatekeeping mentality, and like I think we've probably all seen what the league looks like with FFP getting their way. It's like Liverpool, Arsenal, and United win the league the last, like they did all through the 90s and 2000s. So we all know what's really going on here. They're just trying to protect their own prestige, game, good old boys club.
They're trying to protect their Champions League money, is what it is.
Mm.
Yeah, because that's been the big differentiator between teams over the past few decades. Is the teams that were able to get into the Champions League, the prize money in the Champions League just for being in it. You don't even have to win it; you just have to be in it. Is what has separated a group of teams from the rest of the pack. It's quite arbitrary, in my opinion, that when that started, right in the early 90s. Like I did a bit of research myself, and I discovered that if the Champions League had have started in like somewhere in the 60s, City would have qualified for it like 4 times in 10
Really?
years, and Man United would have only qualified for it once. So like it's all about when it came into place. Like the teams that were good at that time
Mm-hmm.
was very beneficial for them because only 4 teams got in, right? And they got the prize money that the rest of the English pyramid did not get. And I suppose the same for the other European leagues, right? And that really started the separation between the haves and the have-nots in football, which is why I hate the Champions League. If you've ever listened to my show, I don't enjoy the Champions League. I'm happy that we won it and everything, but it was more I wanted to win it out of spite
Yeah.
than actually win it for the glory of it. Um, yeah, so I don't know. I hope that teams like I hope they've come up with some set of financial rules that allows a team like Brighton to invest in themselves, speculate to accumulate, get better without putting themselves at risk of going out of business. Right. So maybe I don't have the answer, but I know it's not the rules as they exist today.
Yeah.
Makes
You've got to
sense.
bring something in that addresses debt, something that maybe owners can. I think Lewis Brown LB has an idea about owners putting money aside to cover losses should they happen.
Yeah, I think I heard him say something like
Yeah,
that. Like
it's quite
like
interesting.
it's like a safety net fund almost.
Exactly. There's got to be something they can do that makes it more fair, I guess, is
Yeah.
the answer. Because right now, what you've got is a system where some clubs are allowed to spend. Let me put it a different way. Some clubs are prohibited to spend what other clubs can spend. Like Brighton isn't allowed to spend what Man United can spend. And in a competition where they're in the same league, how is that fair? You know what I mean?
It isn't.
It shouldn't be fair. So
George.
they've got some work to do on it. Teams like Brighton, I feel for, because they're putting the right pieces together, but they're just going to get picked off
Mhm.
by the big clubs, you know. So
Yeah, I thought,
And you can't even really blame
there's
them
no-
too. Go get paid. Sorry, George.
yeah, for the
no,
players,
so
yeah.
I thought in the I'm gonna ask a dumb question and I don't know the answer, so I'm gonna ask. I thought there's no salary cap limits, but however, there were supposed to be in talks about it about having a limit, like you said, like with Chelsea with the owner. I mean, he owns the Dodgers, and Dodgers are famously for spending big money on players, and I thought that there was going to be some. I thought they had talked about it recently, over the past couple months, that they were talking about going to have be a salary limit to, like what you're saying is spending limits, so you can only have a certain amount of dollar figures.
I'd be in
Um,
favor of that.
Yeah.
So I thought there was. I can't recall the source, and I do apologize, but I thought well, since we're talking about it, what are you guys' thoughts on having the salary limits? It looks like you're all for it. Patrick, Greg, what do you guys think about it?
Needs to happen. If you want to keep a competition fair, it needs to happen. I think that there are some sort of rules like that in the NFL here in America, where you have a certain cap of salaries that you only have so much money that you can spend on them. They're making money hand over fist here in America. It's wild. And I think that would be the only way to keep it kind of more of a fair competition, because like American football or not, you can see that with a few exceptions, like this last 20 years with Tom Brady is kind of a fluke, but for the most part, you can kind of see the trend of, okay, we have these teams are going to be good for 5 to 10 years, and then it's going to switch out, and then it's going to kind of, so that everybody seemingly has their chance to see their team shine. I mean, obviously, if it's 50 years since some of these teams have even made it to the playoffs, but it's the same kind of concept where if you can cap it and make it truly fair, just because these teams have more money doesn't mean that if we're going to all call this thing the Premier League, how is that going to be fair at all? It's not. So you have to do it. It has to happen.
I would be in favor of salary caps, but here's the take. I'm gonna my reality, my like realist way I look at the world sets in is that it's never gonna happen, and the reason it's never gonna happen is because you'll have leagues like the Saudi League or what the Chinese League tried to do a couple years back, where they're not going to have a salary cap, and then all the best players go there. Well, Premier League is this strong body of like owners, people. They don't want to lose that they're the best league in the world, and it is. I mean, it is the best league in the world currently. But if they implement salary caps and then other countries, other leagues don't do that, you're going to see all those good players leave, and I think they'll just get rid of it. And that's why I think we'll never see it in the first place, is because they want to stay at the top. To do that, you have to have the best players, and you have to pay those players whatever the going rate is. And it's wild right now. Like, sorry to pick on you, George, but Caicedo is not a £100 million player. He just isn't.
As of right now, he is not. And
He wasn't even when they signed him. He just wasn't.
Yeah, but it's like
they knew he could get the money.
It's like right now it's like because the owner of Chelsea, he likes to spend big money, and his performance, him as in Caicedo, I agree with you. He is not $100 million player right now.
But so I just think you're constantly going to run into that, and unfortunately, in my opinion, is if more and more like American owners get involved in the Premier League, absolutely they're going to keep that money flowing in, because that's just how we operate as American owners. I hate it. It sucks for us fans. It's not what we fans want, but like, when did those people actually care about the fans? I mean,
it was that big thing with Manchester United, about the gentleman from I can't remember his name. Yeah, like they were saying that they were potentially going to buy it, but that was only to get their stocks up. He made over fucking $100 million, $1 million, or $1 billion. Excuse me, $2 billion. $1 billion over, and they still didn't do it. And homeboy from the owners, revenue just went skyrocket on their stocks. So I mean, that's American ownership. And I know, Patrick, we had a big episode about that one. And but man, it's I don't know, man. It's tough. Mo, what do you think, man?
Yeah, like I was thinking more of like a spending cap, like on transfer fees, than a salary cap. Like I don't know that, again, not a financial expert, so I don't know all the implications of what having one but not the other would be. There may be a massive flaw in my thinking here, but like I wouldn't do a salary cap, because then I agree with you guys, you would lose players to other leagues who are willing to pay more. But I would like to investigate the idea of a spending cap for every team and try to get it across Europe, so that you don't lose players to other teams in other leagues. So for me, for fairness' sake, it has to be one of two things. Either every team can spend an unlimited amount, okay, which was what we had before FFP. You could spend whatever you wanted before FFP, right? So go back to that, meaning it was fair. Anybody could spend whatever they wanted. So financially, that was fair. Or you cap it so that every team has a spending cap. Let's call it, I don't know, 300 million per transfer window.
Yeah.
And then, you limit the amount that a team can spend. There may still be some teams that can't, can only dream of spending 300 million in a summer, right? Yeah. But at least for those the big teams, your Cities, Uniteds, Liverpools, Arsenals, Spurs, etc., in the Premier League, Newcastle's, at least they would be topped off, like they capped off, like they couldn't go mad. Chelsea, why did I not mention Chelsea? Do you know what I mean? It would at least
it's a fair baseline.
It would at least be a ceiling.
Yeah,
because you're not going to see Luton Town go out for Holland or whoever,
no.
right?
And I don't
you're not going to see
these
teams that are going to spend big money.
I mean, I don't know what that number is. I just threw out 300 million. That's probably too much. Yeah. That's probably too much. But yeah. So I would investigate a spending cap rather than a salary cap, and see what we could do with that to stop teams from just spending crazy amounts. With the caveat, of course, that just because you spend loads of money doesn't mean you're going to be any good.
True.
Right? So
that's true. Yeah.
All right.
Very fair.
Let's move into. We've been on for about an hour now, so let's move into predictions going into our next game. Mulv, you want to start? We've got Villa at away.
City and Villa. Wow, this is interesting.
Roger and Grealish aren't there.
No Rodri, no Grealish, probably no Doku because he came off injured.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
You know what? I'm going to be very optimistic about this, and there's going to be something about us, something where we might be maybe feeling aggrieved about the game today. Not the refereeing decision, maybe a little bit, but more about the fact that we're letting too many goals in, and we'll find a resolve to fix that problem between the manager and the players. I'm going to be bold and predict that City will beat Villa, like 2-0.
Wow.
Yeah, I know that might be sound a bit mad,
A little
but
bit, yeah.
I don't know. I feel like sometimes we do play off of setbacks, and we don't tend to lose or drop many points consecutively. So I'm just going to be bold and say 2-0 to City.
2-0 City.
All right. I am not as
2-0.
optimistic as you. I think the lack of a left winger, Gomez season, let's go.
Joey, love that.
Yeah, I know he would. I think the lack of a left winger and no Rodri, and with how Villa are right now, I think we are going to drop points, and I will go. Oh man, I'm gonna go against Graham. I think we're actually going to lose that game, 2-1 to Villa.
I think a lot of people agree with you, mate. So,
What'd you say, Patrick? Said 2-1.
2-1 to Villa.
2-1 to Villa. All right, George, who do you got up next?
Especially with those three out, and I don't know if you guys have heard anything about Doku, because I'm interested to see what's going to go on with him, how he left off. However, I'm going to say it's going to be a 2-2 draw on this one. I think you guys are going to still get momentum going on, but you're missing Rodri and Grealish, so it's going to be tough on that. And by the way, they're playing Villa-wise. I'll give you guys a point on that one.
All right.
Fair enough.
Greg?
Fair enough. I'm thinking that I'm going to just say the same thing that Mulv did, because he knows what he's talking about, and you definitely do not. 2-0 City.
I predict. All right, 2-0.
2-0.
I predicted 3-2 today to City before the game, so I was close.
You were close.
If it wasn't for that last, minute header, which is a brilliant header, by the way, I've got to give him credit. I mean, to bully Ake like that and put it in the top corner off the bar. I rate him, by the way. I think City should try to sign Kulusevski.
Yeah, I just hate him because this is 2 seasons now. He's put a dagger in my heart. So
yeah, true. Nah, he's one of the closest things to KDB I've seen. I know the ginger hair and everything, but just the way he moves, he reminds me of KDB.
Got it.
So
all right,
I'd be in for him. So I don't know, Greg. If trusting my opinion is good, but I was close today.
You know what? I'm gonna go with it. It's locked in. That's how we do it.
Final answer.
And then the last one you guys have Luton Town.
Luton Town.
Oh yeah.
And you guys are going over there.
Oh, I can't wait.
What was it?
Holland walking in somebody's back door.
Was it Kenworth? Kenworth Road?
Kenilworth? Is it Kenilworth?
I love Luton Town. I don't know why.
Mulv's on here with all the Yanks. He's like, oh shit, what am I gonna do with these guys?
My partner's a Yank, so
I know.
Cool.
Luton Town shows heart, and I love that about them. They just go at it. But I'm sorry, go ahead. What do you guys think about the Luton Town game? Because you guys got them Sunday, next week.
I mean, if we don't win that, I mean, what?
Yeah, what are we doing? But we all know Luton are going to play a low block, but I genuinely do fear for Luton in that game. I think that'll be a blowout. I'm just going to say 6-0 City.
Wow.
Like
6-0.
Yeah.
6-0.
Watch, we have a tight 1-0 win.
I'm going to go for 1-0, actually, mate.
6-0 and 1-0. Man, you guys are way up.
6-0, 1-0.
Greg,
that's
what you got?
Crazy. I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it at the last minute.
Luton wins.
Luton's gonna come in and win it 2-1.
I'll be livid.
They're going
Holy
to tie
smokes.
it the whole game. It's going to be
I will
1-1,
cry.
and then Luton's going to come in at the last minute just. And I hope I'm wrong, but
Holy moly.
that's
I
what my
was
gut
I
tells
was
me.
going to 3-0 City.
All right.
All right.
Like that.
Yeah. I think
George,
it'd be-
what does Chelsea have?
Chelsea, we got Manchester United.
Boo.
On,
All right.
excuse me, we have them on Wednesday. This is coming up Wednesday.
That's going to be a great game.
It's going to be a
Two
phenomenal-
mid-table teams going at it.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, you better pump the brakes, dude.
Hopefully, United
pump the
resorts
brakes.
to Chelsea tactics and just plays like a bunch of bullies, and then it's just going to be a very physical game, which would be fun to watch.
Well, we're going to win that game 3-2.
Please.
All right. Please do
Okay.
that.
We will win that 3-2.
I'll give you even better. You got 2-0. You're going to win 2-0.
Ooh, 2-0.
Damn. Mov, come on. Let's keep it going, man.
Yeah, 1-0 Chelsea. Raheem Sterling
Yeah.
bicycle kick.
There we go.
Bicycle kick.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, anything Garnacho can do, Raheem Sterling can do better. So
Oh, my God.
yeah.
That was,
I was
90
actually thinking
94th minute, Raheem Sterling bicycle kick.
94th minute.
Where is it being played?
nil the whole time.
94th
Is
minute.
it at the bridge?
No, we're away. We're
yeah.
in United. It's still going to happen, though. Mov, you said it, man. It's happening.
Knee slide into the Stretford end.
There we go.
Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing, 1-0. Just because I would rather United lose than Chelsea lose, but
Man,
Okay, Greg.
we just cleaned the board on that, man. Thank you.
1-0 1-0 Chelsea.
And then the following week, we got 10-point deduction Everton.
That's a travesty.
10-point deduction.
Yeah, man. 2-0 Chelsea on that one.
Okay.
I'll go 2-0 Chelsea as well.
Nah, Everton's winning that for me. Everton's winning that.
Damn it.
Yeah. Sorry, mate.
I
We're gonna
want
have-
them to
I
win.
thought we are going to have a clean sweep, man.
2-1
Greg, what you got,
Everton.
man?
I'm going with
Go with
my
your
man
gut.
here. 2-1 Everton. Everton's going to kick your
Oh.
ass.
God.
After that performance today, bro, I just want you to lose. I'm sorry.
That's off, dude.
He's not
I'm
bitter, though.
sorry.
No.
Unbelievable.
I
No,
know.
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, cool, man. Cool. And then Brighton. Who
Brighton.
you guys have? Brentford?
we got
Who do you guys have?
we got Brentford on Wednesday. That's going to
Ooh,
be
that's a tough
2-1
game.
Brentford.
You-
2-1 Brighton.
Okay.
I'm
2-1
optimistic though
Brighton.
because these damn injuries, man. And if De Zerbi does not put in the starters at the beginning, I don't know what the hell. But I'm
So
still saying 2-1 Brentford or 2-1 Brighton.
I'm going to flip it and go 2-1 Brentford. We struggle with Brentford with whatever reason how they play, and you guys play in a similar fashion.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go 2-1 Brentford.
All right.
Ooh. Man, Mo, you want to take this one?
I'm going to take a weird angle on this one because I really don't know. So I'm going to say, what would happen in a fight between a seagull and a bee?
And there you go. That's how you get a clip for the show.
Be careful, Greg. It might sting, man.
Yeah. I feel like it'd be maybe a draw.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll take a point over nothing.
Because the seagull's got the size on the bee, but the bee's got the deadly sting. You know what I mean?
You can
No,
eat the bee.
Yeah.
You could, and then
But then what's the result of that? Does the sting
I don't
go
know.
down?
Does it die instantly when it goes into the stomach, or does
Yeah,
it
it could be like
can it
a
move around for a while?
like a
'Cause if it
Trojan
could move
horse,
around,
like a Trojan horse effect.
I'm saying. I think you might be honest with me.
All right, I figured it out.
Yep.
Brentford win. Trojan
Okay.
horse effect.
Yep.
1-0.
All right. Fair enough.
Damn.
And then the weekend we got Burnley, and I was gonna say 1-0 Brighton. That one, I'm thinking that one's gonna be a little tougher, even though they're not very good.
You said
We're
Burnley?
gonna
You have?
do-
You have
we're gonna
Burnley
do-
this weekend?
We're gonna do Burnley 1-0 Brighton against Burnley.
Yeah, they should beat Burnley.
Yeah. I'm going to go 2-0 Brighton.
Interesting. Well, I don't know because they scored 5 goals against Sheffield. So I want to.
Aren't they in a relegation fight too?
yeah, they're all going to go back down to where they came from, man. Except for Everton. Everton might stay down there for a minute. But I'll give you that victory, Greg. I'll give you 2-1.
All right.
I think they're coming out for an ass whooping today. So
I'll go 2-0 to Brighton against Burnley.
All right.
Yeah.
Locked it in.
Awesome.
Well, that was incredible.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mole, for being on the show. I have two final questions. Well, one final question, and then I want you to shout out where we can find you.
Okay.
So my final question, and it's actually the final question for the whole panel, is what made you fall in love with City? And then to you guys, George and Greg, what made you fall in love? Greg more with football, George with Chelsea.
Am I first?
Yes.
Okay. What made me fall in love with City? Well, it's really a family affair for me because my dad was a City fan. His dad was a City fan. My uncle was a City fan. The whole family was City. And they used to take me to the games. I think my first game was when I was probably 4 or 5. Don't have great memories about the games themselves. All I can really remember vividly is the meat and potato pie at halftime.
Yeah.
So I almost feel like I fell in love with the food at the match before I fell in love with the team. Now it was a great experience. This would have been Main Road days, so the kickbacks and all of that.
Yep.
And I think I never really thought about it. It was just that was what we did in my family, was support City, and I just fell in love with it through my family, really.
Awesome.
That's good, man. That's good. Yeah, if I can answer mine for Chelsea, I just like the Lion, dude. Pride of the Lion, and had a buddy of mine who we used to watch all the time, and at work we used to shoot the shit with our colleagues. She was a Liverpool fan, and another one was Manchester United. So I wanted to be opposed, and while he left, I want to stick with that Lion, man, and Chelsea, man. However, I'm still, I like City as well. Don't get me wrong. City and Brighton, as long as we don't play against each other, I'm all for it, dude. I'm still a fan of it. So that's why I like Chelsea, man. Big fans of them.
Well, my answer is the same as just sporting in general, and specifically football brings people together. And it's nice to feel that togetherness whether you're talking me and George are right now, or we're talking about a win, we can all kind of come together from different parts of the world and, discuss something that we all love so much. Football is it's an escape from the normal life. On the weekends, you can just watch something that seemingly is pretty simple. When you take it as just a bare bones concept, it's just a bunch of guys running up and down a field trying to kick a ball into a net. But we know it means a lot more to us because it's an escape from our normal everyday lives, which, sometimes is pretty shitty. So that's why I love it.
100%, mate.
Yeah.
Well said.
I like that how soccer is always, you can be anywhere around the world and still like the same team. It's always nice to see that.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, Patrick. I interrupted you.
No, that I don't even really want to follow that because that's like the best answer to end it on. But when I fell in love with City was really just Mulv kind of showed it tonight when he was talking about the Champions League winning it. It's kind of that fuck you rebellious attitude that we all have as City fans. I love that. And that's what constantly keeps me bringing back is when the 115 charges came, we're like, fine, we'll just go win a treble on you. When we're down against Villa, we'll go win. It is just the rebellious nature of us as City fans. That's what I love the most and what keeps me falling in love with this team.
Hell yeah. That's great.
So,
Mulv, we would love for you, before you leave, just to make sure that all of the people listening can find you in your podcast if they haven't already.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm off the Noisy Neighbours podcast. It's myself and my partner, Joey, who couldn't be with us tonight. He felt ill. He just took a trip over to watch City and Liverpool from last weekend. and came back sick. So he sends his apologies. I'm sure he'd love to come on at some point in the future and chat with you lads. So we're mainly a podcast. Like, you can get it on all your podcast apps, Apple, Spotify, what have you. It's a weekly show. Usually it's just me and him bantering about, the last game and looking ahead to the next game. We also do some YouTube stuff like you guys are doing here. That's less frequent. We do some live streams. And we're often on other people's shows like this. But yeah, our main gig is the podcast. It's if you want to follow us on Twitter, it's @NoisyPod. We're pretty much @NoisyPod on any social media. So yeah, it obviously is tailored towards City fans, but maybe if we've played your team one week and you want to listen to our review of the game against your team, check it out. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being here.
And Patrick, you want to capitalize to see where they can find us, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, just as everybody said, thank you for coming on and supporting us and being on the show and providing your knowledge. We're so glad to have you on. But you can find Just a Bit of Banter on Instagram and Twitter under the call sign @BitOBanterPod. And that's the best way to get a hold of us, is either Instagram or Twitter. We're also available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, any podcasting platform. We're there.
And TikToking.
Oh, and the Tick and Talk, of course.
Yep.
We're still working on getting Greg to do dancing on there, but it'll happen eventually. And with that, that is the end of another episode. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, everybody, for listening, and enjoy your weeks. Stay safe. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks, guys. See you later.